Hello again. This is chapter 6. I'm sorry, chapter 7. We're going to talk about governors. Once again, just a reminder, I'm pointing you in the direction of important aspects of the chapters that you need to focus on. So between some of the guidance I'm going to give you here and the continuous tests, will focus you on into those areas that you really need to know in understanding how governors work. One of the terms you'll hear or read about is gubernatorial. That's simply an acronym to explain. It's a term used to describe the governor's work, the gubernatorial politics, governor's politics. That's all that means. First part of the chapter talks about formal powers and informal powers. On the formal side, governors are administrators, and they have department directors and department leaders and secretaries of departments at the state level, like the Department of Audit, the Department of Environmental Protection, the Department of Health, and so on. Every state's a little bit different, but they all have basically the same departments: education, health, parks and recreation, streets and roads, auditing. Governors run their cabinet or their departments, and then the department leaders, some of them being, a few of them in every state are independently elected. They run their departments. So it's important to understand that governors, they run and lead the administration in a formal way, but they have to do a lot of informal politicking with their secretaries of their departments and those who work for them in order to get things done. So there's an awful lot of influencing discussions, and this is what leadership is about, trying to get things done before a formal vote is taken or before a formal proposal is presented to the state assemblies. Governors are the chief administrator by law, by charter, by state constitution, but they have to do a lot of informal influencing in order to get things done. In the same way, governors are thought to be the chief legislature, leader of the party. They are chief negotiator between unions and labor, between one county and another, between one of the departments and county government. They do a lot of negotiating. But these formal titles, administrator, legislator, leader, ceremonial leader, come with it a lot of informal activities like influencing and leading and convincing. So read through that section, very important. Also, a couple of other a little bit less formal titles that governors are given is like opinion leader and crisis manager. A lot of times the governor will fly to, like happening in Denver, in Colorado right now, lots of wildfires. The governor will fly over to where those fires are and be seen on television describing the situation, explaining to the public what he or she is doing in order to confront the problem, like a hurricane or a blackout where there were so many tornadoes and terrific rainstorms this weekend. A lot of the coastal regions are blacked out, 500,000 families without electricity. Governors are crisis managers in that regard. Who are they really? If we take a look at page 230. Who are governors? It kind of gives a rundown of the governorship and talks about their backgrounds. Governors have mixed backgrounds, like Ronald Reagan came from California, was an actor, but he was a California governor. Lee Maddox of Georgia was a restaurant owner. Harold Hughes of Iowa was a truck driver. Jimmy Davis, Louisiana, was a country singer. They come from all kinds of backgrounds, governors. But the most important thing I think that that is in common with one another is that they are from the state. They've lived in the state, usually, except for maybe Arnold Schwarzenegger, who comes from another country. But typically, they love the state they're in. They've been there a long time, if not most of the time, having been born and raised in that state. They have a real vested interest in state politics. Average age of a governor, about 50 years older. Some were younger, like John Kennedy and Bill Clinton. Do we have black governors? Yes. We've had women governors. Currently, Nikki Haley from South Carolina and Beverly Perdue of North Carolina, women governors. Is the governor position powerful? You take a look in the text, talks about how the governor's power is really in his or her leadership qualities, being able to convince, to influence, to convey, because some of the offices in state government are offices that compete with the governor. In Missouri, for example, the state auditor is separately elected, and when any other offices are separately elected, that means they compete with the power of the governor because they have their own elective mandate. They were brought into office not with the governor but on their own, and so some states, I know in New Jersey, uh, and I believe Iowa, a lot of states, the attorney general and the lieutenant governor are separately elected from the governor. So it's not unusual in a state like New Jersey to have a lieutenant governor, or in Missouri, lieutenant governor from one party, Republican, let's say, and the governor from a different party, Democratic. So when that happens, you can imagine there's a lot of difficulties in getting the programs together and moving forward because these two different party members, they don't want to collaborate necessarily. They don't see things eye to eye. Governors are powerful because they they develop and submit a budget to their state assemblies. In creating a budget, they determine how they would like scarce resources spent in lots of places. So they have a little bit of money, but they want to spend it in lots of ways. That makes them powerful. What makes them not so powerful is the state assemblies have to pass the budget. So governors create and implement a budget and submit it and tell the general public these are all the wonderful things we're going to do. And then the state assembly has to like whittle it down or hone down the budget to more realistic numbers, and then that makes the state assembly look like they're naysayers or they don't want to do everything that the governor wants to do. But on the other hand, it makes the governor look, if the governor makes the budget too big, makes the governor look like a huge spender. So there's power in the budget and some influences that make the budget a little bit less powerful. And as I said earlier, governors are in competition with other elected officials too. And then if the party of the state assembly is a different party than the governor's party, that can take away or add to the power of the governor. The state constitution may say that the governor is very powerful by giving that person veto power over state legislation, by giving that power of appointments to the governor, by giving the power to the governor to sell or not sell land. There's all kinds of things that happen in the state constitution that we have to look at, lining up all 50 state constitutions one against the other to see the kinds of powers that individual states provide to a governor. So governors are powerful to the extent that the state government gives them powers. That's important to recall. Some governors have the ability to create and implement executive orders. These would be, like the president has executive power. The governor also. Some governors have more powerful executive order powers. Other governors have less executive order powers. And appointment powers, removal powers, and to remove important dignitaries in the state and judges from power. That's a very important power, removal power, to have for a governor. Legislative powers, governors can set the list. They set an agenda. They can rally public support, as indicated in my notes. They can call into sessions, special sessions. When I was in North Carolina, the governor there called the assembly back together for about 2 months to talk about what to do with prisoners. Prisoners were overcrowded, and the governor said, "We're too overcrowded. What are we going to do? We have to come up with some way to make these prisons safe, make the streets safe, make the community safe, and at the same time ensure that we have the right kinds of punishment happening for those who break the law." So that's important power. Veto power we talked about. Some states provide the governor with line item veto. That's sort of when the budget comes out, the governor might have control over taking 1 or 2 lines out of the budget. decreasing them or taking them out of the budget altogether. That makes government powerful as well. Lastly, I would mention impeachment. That's the process of reviewing charges against a public official. To some degree, governors have power over the impeachment process, either calling the process into play or standing. Sometimes governors will stand as the elected judge in an impeachment trial. Um, so, sometimes governors will call an impeachment upon an elected official or a judge. Some governors themselves have been impeached. Impeachment does not mean guilt. It simply means that that the government is looking closely at charges that are being brought against an elected or appointed official. Um, and also, the text talks about recall. Some governors have been recalled. Recently, the governor of Wisconsin Governor Scott was up against a recall. He won that recall vote. It was the labor unions that were upset because Governor Scott wanted their powers evinced or decreased. Before that, I remember Governor Gray Davis, in my notes, California was recalled, and that's how, about 8 or 10 years ago, that's how Governor Arnold Schwarzenegger became governor. He was put into office after Gray Davis was recalled. All right, I hope that's helped. I have a few YouTube's videos at the bottom of the information I sent you on the chapter. Take a look at those, and we'll talk to you again for chapter 8. Thank you.